I'm sorry for what you're going through. She's a beautiful girl. She's a wonderful girl. She's a sweet girl. And she has the ability of being anything that she wants to be. But at this point, she's dysfunctional. It's so great that you said the story, because if not for saying the story, I honestly didn't doubt myself, but other people would say, well, Avi, how do you know where she is, where she's not? And this story shows us how she's thinking like a 6-year-old. And she doesn't have those boundaries. And that means that she's sick. And what we want her to get healthy. If you would have called me up, and this is great, because it's a great example for so many other things that our kids do. Broken kids are wrong all the time. And you could spend your time arguing with them, trying to explain life to them. But you'll see that if they were normal, based on their age and where their maturity would be, you wouldn't have to explain it to them.
Right.
The fact that you have to explain something so basic to them shows that there's a break. What makes the break go away is not arguing. So you have a great relationship. You have the patient there. And then during that time, that should be all about fixing the brokenness that causes broken thinking, which is pumping up with compliments. You're so smart. You're so great. You're fantastic. Yes, 100%. And this is all being done to kids when they're wrong, not when it's right. That's why it's called twisted parenting. That's what the world never thought of. I should compliment bad thinking? Yes. Wow, you're so smart. You're right. Now, first of all, let's divide this up into little parts. You will never, ever, ever get this utopia, Disney, Brady Bunch end to criticism, where she says, Ma, you're so right. You're so wise. I have so much to learn from you. I thought that because it's here and he said we could use it, I could use it, but how did you get so smart? Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I almost made a terrible mistake by eating all the ice cream in the freezer. And I see what my mistake was, but you're right. There's a boundary there. I should have a menschlichkeit that I don't have yet. You're so wise. Thank you. Thank you for being you. You're not getting that answer. Nobody ever got that answer. But every time as a parent that we criticize or give these lessons, we really think, even though none of us ever got that answer, we really are shocked at the fact that no kid ever says that. And we can't believe it every time. It's like, chinuch moment, education moment. I can now explain to my child why what they're doing is not so correct. And I'll give that, and they'll say, and then of course they're gonna say, thank you, Mom, Dad, you're amazing. Well, I have so much to learn from you. And then we always get so insulted and hurt when they basically give us the finger.
Right.
Sometimes literally, and sometimes they roll their eyes or whatever. And it's like, why don't you kids learn anything? We have so much to teach you. That's even regular kids. They don't learn from a drasha or a criticism. And unfortunately, the time that we teach kids is when they're doing something wrong. There's a big mistake in chinuch, that when they do something wrong, we say, oh, now I know what to teach you. But that's not when kids learn. Kids never learn when they do something wrong and they're criticized. The whole world thinks that that's a teaching moment. No, it's not. The teaching moment is when it's not something that they have a taiva to do, or that they have a reason. When you catch them with their eating the cookie out of the cookie jar, not the time to punish and teach boundaries, because that showed you that what you were supposed to teach them failed by the fact that they failed. It's like a teacher gives a test, right? And the kid gets a 60. The teacher failed to get 40% of the material into the mind of this student. The teacher failed to get 40% of the material into this student. The world doesn't look at it like that. It's like, now I can see what you don't know. No, now you can see what you didn't teach me. So when a kid is nasty to his friend and we want to criticize him, I would say you had 8 years, 12 years, 16 years to impart how to ben adam chaveri into the kid. You failed. But we don't do that. We punish and we get angry at the kid, which makes them not say those utopia, beautiful Disney World answers. Now, alachas kama v'kama, how much more so when dealing with a broken child, that I want to tell you, I'm happy that I see that you're here. So that means you made it back alive. With another kid, it could have ruined the entire trip, because now we're not equal. Now you're on top, I'm on bottom, and you're telling me that my brain is stupid. My brain is not nice. My brain doesn't have the correct boundaries. Now you became the mashkiach, and I became the troublemaker instead of this. And I really want this. I want you supporting the child, boosting and saying, you're so right, when they're doing wrong. That's the chiddush of TP. You don't have to say anything, first of all. Newsflash, we don't have to say anything. You could let her, but you should say at minimum of what you would treat your friend, even if you thought your friend was, don't criticize. Let's say this was an important date, an important meeting. Don't criticize. But I think what I just said was very good. Remember? Okay? Two friends going out to eat. Two friends going out and having a good time. When I go out with my kids, I never ever pull rank on them. Ever. I think I'm batting 100. But let's say I'm a 95. I never pull rank on my kids. I don't sit at the head of the table. I don't say because I'm the father. I don't do any of that. I don't pull rank on my kids. Okay? I try to boost them by asking them advice. I try to be under them. I always tell them, wow, you're smarter than me. They are. You're better than me. They are. You're amazing. You're fantastic. I'm proud of you. That's my job. I never do this. I'm never on top of them. And this here example is maybe we're not sensitive to it, but that's what's happening, because you went as friends, but friends, and I know regular friends could criticize and say, hey, I don't think you should have that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about assuming the role of now I have to care about something else and teach and educate, and no. We want her to be able to walk. She has broken legs. So what I'm saying is the cast around the legs is going to allow her legs to develop so they can walk, not the pressure. What helps our kids is not the pressure to perform or the realizing what they're not. Being taught a lesson. That doesn't work on broken kids, and I don't think it works on healthy kids. But let's stick to broken kids. Doesn't work. Because either she's going to think you're an idiot or she's going to think she's an idiot. I don't want either of them. Either she's not going to accept your musar or your idea or your criticism or your concept, or she will accept it and then I'm bad. I don't want either of them. I want constantly that the vibe, and we all have people in our lives that just always make us feel good. And that's what you need to be. Everything should be, wow, you're so smart. Fantastic. And then either afterwards you'll send them, here's $100 to go, $200 to fill up, or you'll buy him stuff. Keep her out of it. She's the mind of a 6-year-old. It's free. Right. He said we could take everything. Wow, we just won the lottery. End of story. And then we come in, no, just because he said you could doesn't mean we should. And now we start teaching lessons and we have lessons. That's not our role. I rest my case. It's so good that you're on this call, because everybody needs to learn this. Either they're going to accept your criticism or they're going to deny your criticism. Either way, we lose. Either way, we lose.
Right.
And that's not what you want on a romantic trip. This is romance that we're doing. Twisted parenting is adding in romance into the relationship with our children, which didn't exist in the last generation. Right. And you had a wonderful father who we lost now, and he was a gem to Klal Yisrael. But there was no romance with your kids. We're adding in we're taking in that ingredients of romance, and we're adding it to it. And if you're on a romantic vacation and all of a sudden your husband criticizes you, done. Could have ruined, I'm sure it didn't, but it could have ruined in a different case. I know KiPs that would have said, I'm out of here, I'm going to the airport or running away for the night. It sounds like you didn't do anything because she didn't explode, but she imploded. She took your words as criticism that I'm an idiot. This is the tachlis, Rabbi say. This is the meat. That's why when they do something wrong and I tell you to compliment them, everybody looks at me like, what are you, crazy? Why do I have to compliment when they're wrong? How am I going to teach them? And the answer is, this is exactly the point, that if you try to teach them, they're either going to think you're stupid and you don't know and you're wrong. And 50% of the kids would have said, what are you talking about? He was on the phone. He doesn't care. Why are you making such a big deal? Blah, 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 blah. Or they're going to accept it and they're going to implode and say, you're right. I'm a total idiot. I'm effed up. I'm messed up. Both of those are bad. So I say, I want in 2 years from now, in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now, for these kids to be healthy. What makes them healthy is my parents really believe in me. We got to go to deep inside of them and do a surgery. To me, this is the moment. This is when we heal them. When they bash up the car and we tell them the most important thing is that you're safe. I don't care about the car. When they smoke weed and we say, you don't have to go to the park. You could smoke in the house. We'll put in air filters. Don't worry about it. You have to be comfortable. When they steal from us and we say, you must have really needed it. I'm so sorry that I didn't provide enough for you. Which is what Moshe Rabbeinu told the sheep when the sheep ran away and broke the rules. He said, Tzameata, I see that you were thirsty. It was my fault. He carried him. But we take every disaster from little, which this was a little bad thing, to a majorly bad thing. You know how many kids were selling drugs? How horrible is that? I don't think a couple of years later with TP, I don't think we have, to my knowledge, we don't have one drug dealer. A couple of years later. I'm not talking about the kids who go to yeshiva and they split it up. They're a seicher. They buy and then they make 10 pieces. They sell 9 for the price of 10 and they get their 10th piece for free. That's just business. That's common sense. But I'm talking about drug dealers who are selling to the streets and selling to kids and real drug dealers. We had so many throughout the years. And we did the opposite of what the whole world says to do. And everybody says, it's crazy. What kind of message? What kind of this? We don't have any drug dealers. We don't have any alcoholics roaming the street. Believe on her, we don't have any suicide. Believe on her, we never had a suicide. Believe on her, we don't have kids going in and out of psych wards. Maybe we have 1 or 2% because really, really extreme cases. But how many kids out of hundreds? So this is opportunity for boosting. When they mess up, opportunity for boosting.